Hi, I want to make a real quick video on the subject of rewarding addiction, something along the lines of pretty much the same thing that I mentioned in the last video, addiction and things, and how all we're doing is rewarding ourselves with the same old addiction. There's nothing else to reward ourselves with. There's an addiction, and there's trying to avoid an addiction, and satisfying an addiction, and satisfying a desire based on an addiction, based on a desire mechanism created by the duality, or whatever you want to call it. The existence of satisfying and avoiding, and satisfying or being an attention state of reality. At least when it comes to sentience or things, living things that have a brain that can feel. That's exactly what we're doing, and that's something that um, we can't avoid is sentience. The sentience condition is obviously a very tedious, where there's nothing you can do but to experience negatives to satisfy to get your positives, or at least your so-called perceived positives. All we're doing is pretty much satisfying, rewarding ourselves. That nothing means anything, but with this, with rewards of the same old addiction. That's all we're doing is satisfying an addiction, and by rewarding ourselves with an addiction, or satisfying and contributing more to an addiction by rewarding ourselves with um, more addiction, more things that can allow an addiction, more things leaving it open, leaving more of a desire. Rewarding it only leaves more room for desire. When you reward yourself, um, you're satisfying something. You're saying, good, you went through maybe some kind of adversity to get some kind of reward, but you're rewarding based on addiction. And the fact of rewarding yourself is an addiction, because if you had no way of rewarding yourself or relieving yourself, there would be no addiction. But there is an addiction, and that's the only way it works. So there's only one way things can work, and that's obviously one of the ways, one of the only ways. And that's pretty much all we have, um, is rewarding with the same old addiction. Um, So every time we think of rewarding ourselves, or any kind of game, any kind of rewarding based on a satisfaction or any kind of relieving of tension, it's only reinforcing the addiction again. Obviously, it's a distinction that doesn't mean much, but it's something that means something because it is part of the mechanism, and it helps recognize, if it can do anything in helping recognize at least that fact, that fundamental fact, and it can have some kind of purpose, regardless of the fact that describing the purpose and the purpose being the purpose don't really mean much other than trying to make a change of that purpose. A redundant purpose at that. I mean, it's the same old thing every time. Um, so regardless, it's existing, and there's only so much you can do to stop it. And the only way you can do it and live is by rewarding, or at least attempting to eliminate any kind of deprivation that you're experiencing. So it's something that you can only do so much about, and it exists regardless of the circumstances that control the situation. I mean, regardless of the circumstances that control um, what you want to believe or not want to believe is true, or whatever it may be. So it's something that doesn't matter when it comes to your perception, other than perception being another, and your wants, and the things that you want to desire, and the things that you want to use to rationalize a continued existence are just rewards, and just continuing the same addiction game. There's nothing more, nothing less. That's the only thing that really exists. So that's the game that we're playing. Just a little add-on from the, just make it its own video. It's just a little add-on to the previous idea. I just wanted to mention, make a slight distinction between that kind of rewarding and going through willingness to be controlled by an addiction, and rewards and addiction, an extension of that addiction idea, being rewarded by the addiction, and how that continues the addiction game. It's just this another way of looking at the addiction game, and how nothing means anything but with a reward with the same old addiction. And you reward yourself, and you're just reinforcing the addiction. Regardless of being addicted, it is part of the addiction, and every time you do it, it just proves more and more that the addiction is controlling you, or controlling a sentient being. It is an underlying fundamental fact, an aspect of reality that can't be avoided. It's there regardless of what you want or don't want, like the illusion of our perception, like the illusion of our projection, and the ability to control. It's just an awareness and a in a minefield, and whatever happens, happens. Once the explosion takes place, you only have so much control, and the control is none. Your body, regardless of your reaction, is still just an interaction based off of cause and effect. Imposition, obviously, is another aspect of that, and that's the imposition is the thing that's controlling us. Once it's happened, you have no control over what's going to happen, even though that perception, the projection, is controlled by the same mechanism, based on a fundamental feedback between you and reality. That's the only thing where your perception and your experience comes from. Because without that, the body's experience wouldn't mean anything. Without your body reacting, the environment, there's nothing for the body to react to anyway. So your mind wouldn't exist because it needs something else because it exists from the very thing that it's they're made from the same thing, made from the same environment, in the thing that it's projecting against. So without that thing, it needs the outside environment and it needs the circumstances for it to have a reality for it to interact with. So without that, it doesn't have anything to react to because it's made by the same materials that it's interacting with by its very perception, by its very projection. So it needs those things to exist and perceive and do the things that it needs to do. So regardless, yes. Anyway, that's all I want to mention. So in this video, I think that's all I have to say. So anyway, please, if you want to contribute anything, please. But regardless, if I have anything else to mention, sorry for another incoherent video. It happens from time to time, but it's one of those things that happens. And I apologize, even though you don't deserve an apology. I'm going to apologize anyway. My voice is getting dry. I'm staring straight ahead. I don't know what to say. I don't know. I feel like my voice sounds kind of girly sometimes in these videos. My face looks kind of sludgy. I don't know what it is, but the playback makes me look different than I actually do when I'm looking at the screen here. Direct playback. It looks different when I look at the already recorded playback. That's weird. It looks a little different. I look sludgy and kind of droopy in the playback. Oh well. Anyway, contribute if you want, and if I have anything else to say, I will. This is what happens when you make videos and you don't want to make videos. I don't know what to say. I trip in my way. Anyway, thank you, and until next time, bye.